everyone, welcome to the sixth lord of your chart in all houses. The sixth lord rules your enemies, your diseases. It's a very difficult factor, the sixth house, but let's learn some of the great secrets of the house and of the Lord himself. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to sub below. And if the video is good for you, give it a thumbs up. Let's begin. Firstly, everybody who are the house lords in Vedic astrology, you should understand that many signs have more than one lord, and you will need to check both to understand your destiny from that house. Secondly, we are using sign for a house system where a whole rasi or sign is contained in each house. This is most important. If you should attempt to use an equal house system, it just won't give you the correct result. The Lord of Aries is Mars, of Taurus it's Venus and the Moon. For Gemini it's Mercury, for Cancer the Moon, for Leo the Sun, and for Virgo it's Mercury and Rahu. For Libra, the Lord is Venus. For Scorpio, it's Mars and Ketu. For Sagittarius, Jupiter. For Capricorn, Saturn. For Aquarius, Saturn and Rahu. And for Pisces, Jupiter and Ketu. Another important understanding is how do you judge the results of any house in your chart? Strongest indication are given by the planets in the house. First and foremost, check the videos on my channel showing you results of planets in houses in your chart. The next most powerful factor are the aspects to the house, especially when there are no planets in the house. Planets aspecting by sign and site, that planet will give you the result of the house. And finally, it's the Lord of the house, the Bhavesha, what I'm discussing in this series, that will give you the result of the house. Don't forget, all three have to be considered equally in this order of importance. But for those who have rarely no planets in the house nor any aspect, the Bhavesha gives you the total story. The Lord of your sixth house is known as Sasthesa, the Lord of the vices. This is where we bring our greatest weaknesses and difficulties into play. This is where the competition and the volatility comes in. Mars and Shani are karakas for the house. It's the first Dusthana house, the house of suffering, together with the 8th and the 12th house. So as Mars is karaka for the 6th house, we get the accidents, particularly those which are our fault. The competitions, competitors, lawsuits, litigations are all shown in this house. As Shani is karaka, we get sickness, disease, suffering, but also service to others and those who serve us. So 6th house also represents subordinates, those who serve us either in our workplace or in our home. Also domestic animals. These days, though, more likely we will simply call them pets. But the most important secret of all about the 6th house and the Sasthesa is it is a house of cleansing, purification. It's a natural sign of Virgo, the 6th sign of the zodiac. Here we have the chance to purify ourselves of our weaknesses, of our shadripus. And if we do not do so, though, it can be very, very difficult because these uncleansed karmas next life go into the 8th house where they will have to have immediate repayment. Having clear knowledge then of our major shadripu, major weakness that we can see clearly in our chart is so important. You may already know of these, but it's good to clearly identify them because only by cleansing them can we make these 6th house karmas more favorable and avoid very difficult karmas in the future. So, how do we know what our shadripu is? Our major weakness. Most importantly, by the Lord of the 6th house, Sasthesa. Who is that graha? Who is that planet? There may be more than one. You will have to understand their nature to understand your weakness. And secondly, by any planet that may be in conjunction to that Lord in your chart, wherever he should be, that is equally important to judge. But please be clear, we are not looking at planets in your 6th house. They do not represent your shadripus at all. They represent different karmas coming to you, different situations. We want to know what our weaknesses are so that our enemies don't defeat us or we don't defeat ourselves by creating worse and more difficult karmas. So Lord of the 6th, planet in conjunction to that Lord. You may have many weaknesses or just one. Let's see what they are according to the planets. Mercury. Mercury's deepest darkness, deepest weakness is envy or jealousy. Notice the green color, the color of Mercury. So Aries, Lagna, Capricorn rising, these two signs have Mercury Lord of the 6th house, meaning this is one of their shadripus definitely. But If your sixth house lord should be conjunct to Mercury, you also have this weakness. The deepest darkness and weakness of Venus is sensual and sexual enjoyment. Also, consumption of goodies like food, drink, etc. Wherever we are overindulging in our senses in any capacity whatsoever, Venus is the shadripu behind that. So, Taurus Lagna, Sagittarius Lagna, this becomes one of your shadripus. And also, of course, whenever Venus is in conjunction to the Lord of your sixth. Darker side of Mars, of course, is anger, is irritation, is that impatience which makes us do things off the cuff, but often with a very violent or angry impulse inside. So Mars is the sixth house lord of Gemini and of Scorpio. They will have at least this one shadripu, if not others as well. Now we come to a quite mitigating factor here. When Jupiter is a shadripu for your ascendant, as he is for Cancer, Libra, or Jupiter is conjunct to your sixth house lord, whoever he may be, wherever he is, it's a mitigating factor because Jupiter is a pure sattvic planet. So he reduces shadripus. He helps you to calm them down. He helps you to overcome them. That's a fortunate factor for Cancer and Libra ascendants. Weakness of Saturn is material greed, desire for more material things, whatever they are, whether it's status, whether it's belongings, whether it's power, whatever it is. Mostly it's just material factors. This greed is a deep darkness within Shani, affecting Leo and Virgo ascendants. But anybody who has Saturn conjunct to their sixth house lord also may have this weakness. Moon is another blessing to have if he is connected to your sixth house, as for Aquarius rising, or to the lord of your sixth house, because the moon is a sattvic planet. He will help to purify your weaknesses. If the sun is the lord of your sixth house, once again, he's a pure sattvic planet. He can help you overcome weaknesses. This is for Pisces ascendant. Most importantly, if he is conjunct to your sixth house lord, he will give you knowledge of your weaknesses, but he is dharmic planet. He will expect you to do something about them. Otherwise, sometimes he can be quite punishing. The deepest darkness and shadripu of Rahu is obsession. So when Rahu is your sixth house lord, like he is for Aries, Virgo, obsessional tendencies will be there. And also, if your sixth house lord should be wherever he is, in conjunction with Rahu. And even if he is a sattvic planet like Sun, Moon, Jupiter as your sixth house lord, if he gets entangled with Rahu, we all know Guru Chandal Yoga, the eclipses of the moon and the sun, it's going to eclipse your good sense and you can make serious mistakes. And by the way, K2 is not included in the list, everyone, because he is taking us to liberation out of this world. He is not concerned to entangle us with shadripu and weakness. A quick word, everyone, about the famous yoga, which you may not know about, but you may do, known as Vipreet Raj Yoga. When the sixth lord is in his own house, sixth house, and some would also add sixth lord in the 8th, 12th house, or the other Dusthana houses, it gives this powerful Raj Yoga. This yoga has the potential to bring you into challenging situations because Dusthana houses are all challenging situations, but gives you the power to overcome them and to virtually make obstacles into stepping stones. I've actually seen this occur. But the great secret about the Vipreet Raj Yogas, everybody, is that at one point in your life, normally later, not earlier in life, much later, there will be a very karmic moment when you want that success, but it will completely fall under you. There's a big fall down. There's a big change. There's a real loss of what you have fought for. Now, this is coming from Pandit Sanjay Rath, and I have definitely seen this happening. Good example happening right this moment, actually, as I make this video, just about to post it, so I've had to add this, is that Boris Johnson British Prime Minister, UK Prime Minister rather, who has Saturn, Lord of Sixth, in the sixth, in Aquarius, such a powerful placement. Vipreet Raj Yoga, all of his life he has overcome so many obstacles, come up shining where he should have been defeated. He has not been defeated. He has always defeated enemies. But now that karmic moment that is inherent in all of these Vipreet Raj Yoga has come upon Boris Johnson. And of course he has the Saturn return right this moment, which is a huge karmic turning point at age 58, 59 for everybody. But that Saturn placement could be anywhere in this chart. For him, it's sixth house. It's Vipreet Raj Yoga. So, is there any way to avoid this sort of downfall? In the case of the sixth house lord, there certainly is, because the sixth house lord is our shadripus, our weaknesses, and it is our weaknesses that have not been challenged that bring about these difficult karmic situations. So check back if you've not already heard it on the video. Check what your major shadripu weakness is. Work on it if you should have sixth lord in the 6th, 8th, 12th, and you can avoid some of these difficulties. At least you can largely mitigate it. How to use the readings, everybody. Very important. You have a Vedic chart. You have a chart with sign for a house system. Do not use tropical signs. Do not use a Western horoscope. If you should be unsure of what your sixth house lord is or what your Vedic chart is generally, please check the link below to the Devaguru website. You can access on any device and you can quickly bring up your chart in this way. When the lord of your weaknesses or the lord of your service has gone into the first house of the chart, we can see that you are going to want to serve yourself. Definitely. And this makes you somewhat inimical to other people, to the family, which is the second house to this, because as I say, Sasthesa is like Shani and he can contaminate the houses around himself. The sixth house lord carries the energy of Mars to you, the first house, so you can be quarrelsome. You can like to attack if you feel that people are not in your favor in some way, not actually physically, but at least verbally. You're not afraid to speak your mind, and this can get you into some very sticky situations, even litigation sometimes. And of course, there can be accidents, sudden events that affect your health. In fact, sixth lord in this first house is like Saturn coming to your first house. So sometimes there can be chronic health problems and sickness, sometimes from early childhood, something which you just have to work around. And sixth house lord has literally gone to your head because first house represents the head. So what's gone to your head are your weaknesses. They become stronger by being in this first house, but you can become aware of them. Check again what the lord of your sixth house represents by that weakness and any conjunctions earlier on in the video. Make an effort to control those weaknesses and certainly this position will become a little less troublesome. There are certainly still favorable aspects here because this Sasthesa can make you actually wealthy. He can make you very wealthy of your own effort. He can make you powerful, rich, and actually quite successful in life. But he gives some quarrel or some difficulty with your family. You can feel not connected to them, not in any way able to connect to their values. You make your own values in life. It's a very courageous position though, sixth lord, first house. You're a real fighter in life. You will fight always. You're never down for long. Even your health concerns, you don't let them get you down too long because the third aspect is on the third house of courage. But the seventh aspect away from this lord is on relationships. This can delay marriage. This can give contention, quarrel within marriage, something to be aware of. When the sixth lord is going to the second house of family, you become quite an important or strong person in your family, even though there are many family conflicts. And even in your community, you become someone who stands out from the crowd. It's quite a good leadership position, actually. You're also very courageous by the sixth lord, second house, and you definitely speak your mind. Nothing stops you saying what is on your mind. And your actual speaking voice, your power of speaking is very, very strong indeed. You make a great impact through your speech. Despite this power, particularly by the way, when Mercury should be the shadripu, the weakness coming in here, but it could be any other planet at all. Watch that you do not mix truth with lies. Make sure that you are being honest and open at all times. You really want to make that impact with your speech, and you can bend it. You can use your imagination to embellish factors. Be careful, because that could have very negative consequence. You like to travel, definitely, when you have sixth lord here, because sixth lord has gone 9 houses away to the second house. You get moral values from different cultures. You get a great deal of excitement, happiness in your foreign travel. Generally good for your domestic happiness also, because the sixth lord aspects 4th house of the chart. You may have many moves, many dissatisfaction with your home life, depending on the nature of your 4th house, second house lord conjunctions, but still you will strive to improve domestic situation, and you will generally do so. And your focus is on the 11th house of your chart. So your friendship network circles, you put a lot of energy into them, and they generally support you. So when your sixth lord, Sasthesa, has gone into the 3rd house of the chart, there's something quite interesting here. First of all, 6th house and 3rd house have a lot in common. They're about the ego conflicts and the disputes, and definitely they're all about litigation. The 3rd house is courage and bravery, and virtually you're going to be out to hammer your enemies, not literally of course, but definitely metaphorically, even before they raise their head. As soon as there is competition, you're there ready to fight. You're definitely going to have quite a hot temper. Obviously, if it's a more benefic planet, it could tone it down, but I've even seen Jupiter, 6th house lord here, will have this same impact. You will be definitely taking complaints if you feel short-charged in any way. If you've had restaurant meal and it's not satisfactory, you'll be complaining. If you've had purchase which you are not happy with, you will complain. You will always be taking up litigation complaints immediately if you feel in any way let down. It's a house of sibling, of course. So the 6th house lord going into the house of siblings, there is some distance or some enmity, open enmity, depending on the actual graha with a sibling. At the very least, it's hard to find agreement. Strange thing though, it is your 6th lord going into the 3rd house, so probably siblings are not in any way inimical to you. They see it as actually coming from yourself. There's definitely quite a few misunderstandings going on with your siblings when you have this 6th lord in the 3rd house. In fact, 6th lord, 3rd house can all over in some way distance you from your family. There can be difficulty with your mother also, because of being 2nd house away, and the 12th house being family, there's some disputes there as well. And most importantly, it's very, very difficult relationship with your father. It's difficult for foreign lands, long distance foreign travel. Finding guru can be difficult, finding guide, finding mentor, and even religious practice can be disturbed by the 6th lord, 3rd house. Please remember, this argumentative tendency and this fighting tendency is toned down a lot when you have Jupiter 6th house lord, Moon 6th house lord here, or Sun 6th house lord. You will not want to fight openly so much. This is a house of the battlefield, and it is opposite. So you are running away from these open contentions when you have these sattvic planets, Sun, Moon, Jupiter, as your 6th house lord. But for sure it's the opposite if it should be Mars, Shani, Rahu, Ketu even as your 6th house lord gone into this house. Even Venus, Mercury can get you into some mighty quarrels and contentions. Tone it down, or it just becomes something which can actually affect health because of the constant high stress level. On a positive note though, 6th house lord in this 3rd house can be enterprising, giving you business success, particularly when it's Mars, Shani, Rahu, who do so well in this 3rd house generally. You will get innovative ideas. You will be cutting edge all the time. Even in your employment, you will have this cutting edge factor, but you will attract rivals. You will attract competitors almost constantly. You're always having to fight them off. You may even enjoy it, but it is quite stressful. If this 6th house lord should be well placed by sign, that will definitely help you to get victory in these situations. Now, when a 6th lord's gone into the 4th house of domestic life, there's going to be contention with the mother. There's going to be some difficulty finding harmony with mother. or with mother's family. An early home environment can be quarrelsome, disruptive, and inharmonious. There is, however, a special factor here because the sixth house lord is going to the house of heart. This is the fourth house of your heart. So some weakness, some deep past karma which is coming with you is creating disturbance in your heart of hearts. And you have to look at this very objectively. Check out what is your sixth house lord, any planets here with the sixth house lord. Check the beginning of the video carefully to check what are those shadripu weaknesses, because they have come to be completely cleansed. Fourth house is a water house. It's a total cleansing house. So you can do a great deal of cleansing of your weaknesses, but it's not going to be easy. Why is that? Because the third house from the fourth house is the sixth house itself. So what you're getting benefit from is the sixth house. You seem to be always benefiting when you get into quarrels with people. You seem to be always benefiting when you have challenges, litigations, etc. You seem to be coming out shining new, but it's a trick of Maya. Be careful. It's just entangling you more in more contention. One thing to be careful of, sixth lord, fourth house, is being too scheming. You can naturally find yourself scheming to yourself, at least making plans how to deal with your competitors, how to deal with your rivals. And you may be successful in this, but it takes up a lot of psychic energy. It can even contribute to ill health if it becomes too all-consuming. However, sixth lord has gone 11 houses away from himself, so he will give you gains. He can give you wealth, riches, success, favorable home life, large home situation, all of these things depending on the aspect and sign placement of this sixth house lord. There can be, however, some difficulty, quarrels with your siblings because it is behind the house, and even with your children. There can be some lack of faith, some lack of closeness happening with at least one particular child or one particular sibling. But one particular thing though, this sixth lord gone to the fourth house as the seventh aspect on the 10th house of status and career. At some point in your life there will be something you've looked for, wanted for, status wise, career wise, position, whatever it is, that you do not attain. You have to accept that something is being denied to you. It doesn't mean that you won't have wealth, success, prominence. You can have them, but one particular goal has to be forsaken. However, despite this, you will always come out shining from any letdown, because the 10th house away from the fourth house is the Lagna, your intelligence. So this sixth house lord increases intelligence. Your planning ability is superb. Once again, avoid schemes, avoid anything too underhand. You will be very tempted by this, but your foresight, your planning ability is second to none. There's great fluctuations in your fortunes in life when the sixth lord has gone behind itself into the fifth house. Sometimes you're on top of things, you're even famous in the world, and sometimes you're at a loss for what you should do next, and you feel yourself surrounded by difficult circumstance. The Lord of Enmity has gone 12th to himself. There can even be secret enemies sometimes, but you know what? You don't let this get you down. Parashara says that sixth lord, fifth house is happy and contented. You are self-focused. You are not letting other people's agenda get you down. So this is quite helpful in many ways. But still, it's a stony ground because the sixth lord has gone into the house of children. So sometimes there can be enmity with a child. Sometimes, but again, only fifth house lord will confirm this. And certainly because the seventh house is friendship network circles, you frequently find yourself at odds with your friends, with your friendship network circles. You can feel alienated, as like they do not understand you, or they are being deliberately obstructive to you. It can sometimes even feel that way. But once again, you step aside these things. You don't let them get you down. You don't let them cause you too much distress. But it's a very special blessing of having the sixth lord gone 12th to himself. What are you losing? You are losing the shadripu. You are losing the weakness. You don't let yourself get into these negative states of mind. So you can purify many of these weaknesses. Check what they are. Beginning of the video, you are letting them go. This is favorable for your onward spiritual evolution. It can also be good for for your health, because the sixth lord is health matters. Going 12 to himself, you can get rid of illnesses pretty quickly. You can purify yourself of them. You can not dwell on them. Always more positive that you are, the more likely you are to get over illnesses and disturbances which affect your health. Now, because the third house from this fifth house is the seventh house, you can attract a very helpful partner who helps you deal with the daily tasks of life, who has your back, who is supporting you through ups and downs and all those enemies surrounding you. You can turn to your partner. That's a helpful factor. Of course, you must see seventh house lord and the planets in this house to confirm this. Now, when the sixth lord, Sasthesa, is in his own house, he's in a Vipreet Raj Yoga, just like eighth lord in the eighth and 12th in the 12th, or any combination of these houses mixed up. But Vipreet Raj Yoga can give some sort of mitigation of the hardships of the house early on in life. But I have to tell you, and this is coming from Pandit Sanjay Rath, and I've seen this in people's lives, definitely later on in life, it can give a moment of realization that you can't get away with things so much anymore. There is a moment of challenge that often comes in much older age. So it's very important to keep the ethical action super high when you have the sixth lord, sixth house, or the eighth lord, eighth house, or the 12th lord in the 12th house. It's especially true, by the way, when the sixth lord is a malefic planet in its own house. Find out what it is, that weakness. Earlier on in my video, I explain, and try to get on top of that. Try to mitigate its effects. You will avoid many difficult karmas from this sixth lord, sixth house. It's what you might call a never say die position, sixth lord in this house. But specifically, this is true for malefics like Shani in here, Mars in here, or let's say Rahu in his own sign. Because the 10th sign away, where the focus is on the third house of argument and quarrel. So you are always fighting to survive. You never give up. You never step down from a fight, from an argument, from any contention which you think you can win. Number one factor about the sixth lord, sixth house is that you are very friendly to other people outside of your clan or outside of your immediate family. You really feel a great empathy for people who are different to those of your early upbringing. Sixth lord, sixth house takes your health very seriously. You can be a real fitness fanatic, always on to the latest exercise routine sometimes. And you take your pets very seriously too. You can often have strong responsibilities towards small animals in your life. The house behind and in front of the sixth lord is always impacted, as I've said. So there can be some difficulties with children sometimes, at least one child, that there can be some difficulties. I've seen a great deal of complications with children sometimes with this position, or it comes from the relationship arena. Because the sixth lord is in the house behind relationships and is impacting relationship house, you've got to watch out for things like affairs outside of marriage, lack of loyalty, lack of compatibility. Choosing partner very, very carefully and being open and honest with the partner at all times is essential. A big factor about sixth lord, though, in this house is that the 7th house from here is the 12th house. So expenses can be many. Finances are really up and down. Sometimes they are fairly good, and sometimes there are so many expenses, it's very difficult to control. Now, the sixth lord in the sixth is opposite to the 12th house, a house of secret enemies. So sometimes you don't know who your rivals are. You don't actually understand who your competitors are. It's very important, though, sixth lord aspecting 12th house, to be careful in foreign shores. Sometimes you get success there, but very often times foreign lands cause you some distress and some difficulty. A definite tip for sixth lord, sixth house is to be self-contained. Get on with the job at hand, which you do. This is a house of everyday tasks, of hard work, and you definitely work hard. You like to serve others, do the utmost best, have high standards in your service attitude, and this is excellent. You can actually work 24/7. You never tire of doing a job you are totally focused on. The sixth house lord going into the seventh house. This is the house of relationships and business factors. Now, the sixth house lord will bring the contention into these areas. There is no doubt. What's happening for both spouse and actually for your business partner is that the sixth house lord, as I've said, represents energy of Saturn, energy of Mars. So energy of Saturn, energy of Mars going into your seventh house, first thing, can delay marriage or cause quarrels, distension in your relationship, and some form of dissatisfaction can be there. But seventh house lord must be seen to confirm. And in your close business partnerships, it can be very difficult. You can even see a business partner as your rival rather than as your partner. Good news is that sixth lord is full of skills, great skill techniques. It's the natural house of Virgo. It's gone into the house of business. You can be very skilled in business. Great wealth can come from this position through your skill, through your talent, through your hard work. Enormous enterprise also, good marketplace skills. You know how to put your shoulder to the wheel, as they say. You will work long hours, just like sixth lord, sixth house, and you know how to accomplish a task. Great focus, because the 10th house from here is the fourth house. So you are totally focused. You get happiness out of your work. But the key to success in everything which you do when the sixth lord is in this seventh house is having a service attitude. Service attitude towards the spouse. Having the back of the spouse, being there for the spouse, not ignoring spouse's needs, as might be a really big temptation sometimes. Same way, having a service attitude to your job itself or to your business enterprise will get you enormous success and enormous popularity. So taking the sixth house attitude of hard work and service into your business situation, into your relationships, will be what gives you more peace of mind and much more success. Now, when the sixth lord Sasthesa has gone into the eighth house, I've already spoken earlier on the video of the extremely intimate connection between sixth and eighth house. So there's a very special connection here, a very special power to this position, but there are dangers too. So you have to know of these dangers so that you can avoid them and make the best of this position. So what's happening is that the sixth lord of health has gone into the into the eighth house, of crisis. So definitely there's going to be some health crisis, some chronic illness perhaps that comes on you suddenly and just sticks with you. Don't be afraid of this. It's a very karmic factor which you have to go through. But tremendous transformation and tremendous cleansing is possible here. The sixth lord, as I said, is the lord of purification. Going into this water house, it's a Scorpio natural zodiac, it's a water house. There is tremendous transformational cleansing power. You are given a very special power actually by the sixth lord in this eighth house. You have the power, in fact, to read the minds of your enemies. Literally, I mean this, I've actually seen this. You are able to know what the next move is of your enemy, of your rival, of your competitors. You see people's motives so clearly that many people do not see. So knowing the desires and thoughts of your enemies, use this wisely. Be careful of being manipulative. Be careful of being secret dealings behind people's backs. That sort of stuff won't help you. You are here to heal other people. Knowing people's thoughts, people's desires, you are here to help other people transform their lives. You see, all the occult secrets of healing are in this house, and the deep secrets of medicine, of Jyotish, astrology, those deep secrets of occult. Sixth Lord here gives you access to them, but you have to use them completely unselfishly, otherwise karmas come back that are very, very dangerous and immediate. It's definitely a great position for doctors, healers, astrologers, psychotherapists, all these people who have a transformative effect on other people's life. Generally, 6th Lord in the 8th house is seen as a Vipreet Raj Yoga. It gives you this certain power of transformation definitely in your life, and you can apply this. But check also, of course, what I've said at the beginning of the video. There is a difficulty with this Vipreet Raj Yoga, which you should know of. But particularly the 6th Lord, 8th house, has a few factors that are very important to understand because Parashara has emphasized them. The first is dishonesty in relationships. As I said, attraction to other people's partners is not helpful and can cause much distress for yourself as well as other people. And the other thing is other people's property. Now, this is the actual house of inheritance. If you should inherit property legally in the all correct channels, that is fine. But if there is any contention, any manipulation going to obtain property, it will cause very difficult karmas. Try to avoid this, definitely. The 6th Lord's gone into the 9th house, a house of foreign cultures. Very often the 6th Lord here takes you into foreign residence, foreign lands sometimes, but whenever you go abroad, there's always some contention. If you want to live somewhere, you may have difficulty finding permits or whatever it is to live and work somewhere else, or there's always contention in education also because it's the house of higher education, and definitely some contention with your father. But the 6th Lord going into this 9th position doesn't give steady fortune, that's for sure. Sometimes it can give a great deal of success and then it gives little success, just like you've gone from the top to the very bottom, and then all of a sudden you're climbing up again and success has come back. So it's definitely fluctuating fortunes in your life when you have the 6th Lord in the 9th house. Now, the 6th Lord here is very good for independent work because it's afflicting the 10th and the 8th house in this way, as I have explained. So basically, it's difficult to find steady employment. It's best to have a more freelance lifestyle sometimes because you get dissatisfied in your employment, in your career situation. Definitely, you get problems with superiors. Working in business partnership can be very challenging. It's always best to be self-employed, working for yourself if you want to go into business. 6th Lord looks at the 3rd house, so there's going to be some problems with your siblings, some distance with them, even loss of siblings, separation from them can be seen. You can be a very skilled individual though. 6th Lord is aspecting house of skills, so many skills can actually be helping you do all sorts of freelance, independent work and gaining profit for yourself. It's a very good position actually for writing, journalism, particularly even travel blogging, all of these things. Anything where you are moving around and communicating, particularly verbally, is excellent. Also, media career can be very successful with this position. But one of the best factors is 6th Lord in this 9th house always brings you gain. Even if you lose, you will eventually come up again, as I say, and get gain because 3rd house is 11th house. And you have friends, many friends who support you, foreign friends, local friends, all over the place really. Your friends are your mainstay. Your friends are your true helpers. Finally, another factor increasing with this 6th Lord 9th house is political influence. You can go into politics or anything where you are agitating for your belief system. You are very much liking to be part of social network groups and getting involved in these activities. You may get quarrel contention, but you will also get success. When the 6th Lord's gone to the 10th house, it's one of the more favourable positions. It gives you strength of purpose, extremely hard working. You will work 24/7. When you find the right career, you are completely dedicated to your path, to your karmic path in life. You've got quite a force in your local community or in your workplace community. You can be a leader there, but first and foremost, it is not about power position. It's about service. You get pleasure from your career, pleasure from your job when you are serving. When you are helping other people, you get the greatest pleasure and help. You can't be happy without this service attitude. It's the core factor of the placement. 5 places away is the second house of speech. You are a very talented speaker. You have great charisma in your speaking when you have the 6th Lord, 10th house. But there are some problems because the 9th and the 11th house are being damaged by this position. So there can be separation from your father, loss of father, difficulty with your father, misunderstandings with the father, sickness with the father. In some way, the karmic factor of the father in your life has been disturbed. And the 6th Lord is looking directly at the 4th house. Early home upbringing can have some distension, some challenges, particularly relationship with the mother may be also certainly impacted. And of course, because it is the Lord of enemies, conflict, you may have enemies and competitors galore in your career, but you will actually overcome them because of the strength of this position. They will never be able to harm you very much, normally so, unless there is complete affliction to this 6th house Lord. But 3 houses away from here is the 12th house. You get rejuvenation from foreign travel, foreign lands, foreign philosophies, and deep spirituality. This takes away all of this inner stress, which you may be getting somewhat from your career situation. So go into foreign lands. You will rejuvenate yourself, definitely. And your attention is actually focused on relationships a lot of the time. Now, this can have a negative impact on your career. Try to be focused on your work when you are there, not worrying about relationships. That's especially true when there are malefics in this 7th house or the 7th Lord is afflicted. But where the 7th Lord and 7th house is more favorable for you, then your partner can support you definitely in your career. But for everyone, the aspect of the 6th house Lord onto this 7th house, 10th aspect, means that actually you get support of people in power as well. So very often you are supported by your superiors, supported by those who see your excellent work ethic, and this is a definite gain for you. When the 6th Lord's gone to the 11th house, it's a quite strange position because you get gain from your enemies. The more enemies, the more competitors ruled by the 6th house Lord you have, the more gain you seem to get. Now, you do very well in any career or any situation where there are competitors facing you daily. Where you have to compete, you rise to the occasion and you definitely almost enjoy this sort of rivalry. It's very good for a political career, by the way. It's because it's gone 6th house. 6th Lord has gone 6 houses away from his own position. So increase in your enemies. More people are opposing you. And in your friendship network circles, that's not what you really want. But friends can also turn into enemies. But maybe enemies sometimes even turn into friends. It's a very dramatic and strange situation in your network circles. But you get many gains, many monetary gains from your skills. Your skills give you gain. You have many practical, talented skills which will definitely give you gain. Check who is the Lord to see what those skills may be. E.g. Venus here may be artistic skills and so on. Another favorable factor about the 6th Lord being in this 11th house is that the 3rd house away is you, Ascendant. So you can get fame, power and prominence by this position. The opposition is, of course, to the 5th house. So there can be difficulty with children, getting pregnant if you are female, having children, or just having conflicts, difficulty with a child, or a child has difficulties that can be seen. But also your education can be affected. It's the actual house of learning. You can have many conflicting factors, finding what you want to focus on in your education. that can be seen. When the sixth lord's gone to the 12th house, he's gone 7 houses away from himself. This would seem to be good. Are you getting far away from the vices? Are you getting the loss of these difficult factors? Not necessarily, but what you are doing is profiting from them. You must definitely see who the Lord is. If it's a malefic Lord, you've got to watch this carefully. You can have difficult situations developing because your weaknesses are becoming greater than you would imagine, and it's hard to control them. Depends what the Lord is, of course. If it's Mars, watch the anger. If it's Venus, watch the sensuality, etc., etc. Sixth house Lord takes a service attitude wherever he goes. He's gone to the 12th house of hospitals, even schools and prisons, etc., where you can be of service to other people. Working in these large organizations can be successful where this sixth house Lord is strongly placed and not afflicted. Now, this is a house of spirituality, and the sixth lord going here can show conflicts, difficulty finding true spiritual path, but nonetheless you are deeply attracted to hidden occult knowledge, and this can give you definite skill, just like sixth lord 8th house dealing with occult subjects and astrology. There are 2 areas of your life though which can cause conflict for yourself with the sixth lord here. First of all, your own health. You don't modulate life very well. You don't have regular routine very often. You may stay up to late hours. You may have difficulty sleeping. All of these things cause stress to your body, harm your health. So have some awareness of it. And the sixth lord is actually a front of the house of friendship. So there can be difficulty maintaining friendship, sudden changes that cause you some distress. This can also increase accidents in your life, so take care. You become very impulsive, very sudden sometimes with this sixth lord here. And what are you focusing on? You are focusing on the 9th house of higher learning, higher education and philosophy. So many hours spent alone studying, researching can be really good. It's good for students. It's good for studying because you are not afraid to study alone, be alone, and this gives you great satisfaction. Another factor is that actually, because sixth lord is in this 12th house, it can increase fears, doubts, phobias. You have many moments of having lack of belief in yourself, but studying higher philosophy and focusing on your education gives you relief from this. Check out the other videos on your screen right now for the lords through all houses. If you're new to my channel, don't forget to sub below. Goodbye for now and God bless everyone.